Ian Garry, oh my goodness, it pains me. It pains me to tell you I have missed him. I would just tell you, like, as a guy with an ego, it's hard to say, but I have missed him, and I didn't even realize I did, by the way. Like, there's a few guys that at times in their career will go quiet, and I always feel it's a mistake. Don't ever stop talking. But there are a few guys. Chimaev. Chimaev is possibly the most guilty, a media darling. You could not open a page of any of the dirt sheets and not see Chimaev. They started to film Chimaev at the grocery store shopping. Started to film like the relationship between Chimaev and Darren Till, which, by the way, if that was a television show, I would never miss one. And Chimaev just elected one day. And Garry largely did the same thing. So Garry comes out. Gary's got a big fight coming up in Qatar. And he's fighting the second most disrespected champion in UFC history. Hold that thought. Belal Muhammad. Do you agree, by the way? Second most disrespected champion in UFC history. Why is that, by the way, on Belal? Like, people don't want him to have been champion. They don't want him to have had the success that he's had. They don't want him to be as great as he is. Where does that come from? He's a killer with a great attitude. And by the way, he's nice. Nobody's ever met Belal and didn't like him. Nobody. That's a big statement. Why? Where does this come from? And I never pull the race card. You guys know that. I never do. And I'm not doing it now, but I must tell you, there's something about it that feels personal. It's damn sure not professional or career-wise. Anyway, he's number 2, though. Number 2, the most disrespected champion in history is Aljo Sterling. Interesting thought. So, Ian Garry comes out. He's got this fight coming up with Belal in Qatar. And Ian first puts him over. Okay? Builds him up. This is a champion, and talks about how great he is. And then Ian comes in and he built him. I watched Garry doing this. I was watching the psychology of Garry as he builds him and talks about this champion and talks about what a great run he's had. Just to chop him down, he says, I'm going to melt him in front of your eyes. I will make him look amateur in front of your very eyes. He's going to experience speed like he's never seen. And then he tells Qatar, it's just a broad statement to the entire territory of Qatar. You are in for a treat. He tells Qatar, you are in for a treat, that they get to witness him. And it really was, I'm reading this article, going, I've missed this guy. And there's something about Garry from a performance standpoint that doesn't feel like a performance. And it used to. He used to be ready. Joe Rogan would get in there and he would be ready, from the body language he used to the lines that he used. He even straight ripped Conor off a couple of times. And before he said it, I'm going to quote Conor McGregor, we're not here to take over as the Irish. We're not here to take part, we're to take over. He uses the line. But it was interesting when he ripped Conor off. It was interesting because he did not have confidence that you wanted to hear his thoughts. So he turned to Conor, who he knew you did want to hear. And I'm just sharing, like watching Garry grow in front of our eyes. Gary's got a tattoo that says 15. And he went and got this tattoo because he broke into the top 15. And I remember when he got the tattoo, he was a young guy. Garry was only like 24, 25, 26 at the oldest. Undefeated in, well, everything. Not just the UFC. He was undefeated in mixed martial arts, and he gets this tattoo, and he was so happy, and his face, picture is worth 1,000 words. And I remember seeing that and thinking, does he not know how good he is? Like, 15 is just the start. I'm not sure he should be 15 the day they put him at 15. I felt like he should have been 11 the day that they put him at 15, and now all of a sudden, top contender, main eventer, getting ready to go in there with a former world champion. The only guy to go the distance, the only guy to take a round off of Rachmanov. So I share with you that we've watched Garry grow. We watched him grow very much as a person. But somewhere along the way, there were some very tough things that happened to him. There's some very personal things that happened to him. It involved his wife. It involved relationships. And when he came out and he stood strong and pushed back against that, it did not feel like a performance. It felt like a very sincere, it felt like it felt like a real man, quite frankly. And I missed him. I guess I have missed him, because when he came out and he starts talking about Belal, which, by the way, is a wildly interesting fight for a number of reasons, none of which less than the fact that it ties directly into Rachmanov. The idea of Belal and Rachmanov, the matchup of Belal and Rachmanov, this has been lingering for the better part of 2 years. And I understand that it's not Belal versus Rachmanov, but you've now got that common opponent. You've got that opponent in Garry, and it is interesting. It will start to draw a correlation between those two. So, Ian Garry versus Belal in Qatar. Speed like we've never seen. Power like we've never seen. Qatar's in for a treat. While maintaining my own ego, I think he's right. I'm not predicting he's going to win. I'm not giving you a prediction on the match right now. But I do feel, as a performer, as a professional, as a top guy, we're all kind of in for a treat.